Hello, this is Crystal Racing here with the 2020 Russian Grand Prix race review and Crystal score. Let's get on with it. First place was Valtteri Bottas. I'm going to give him 7 out of 10 because yes, he had a good race, but he did the bare minimum of what was expected of him today when you take into account that Lewis Hamilton picked up 2 5-second time penalties at his pit stop, meaning that, and then of course Hamilton was forced to start on the soft tyres, so I mean essentially it was kind of obvious that Bottas was always going to have a good chance of winning, and I'll get on to Hamilton later. Post-race comment, to whom it may concern. Goodness sake, Bottas, seriously man, are you this thin-skinned? I cannot be arsed with it anymore, and the fact of the matter is I'm giving you 7 out of 10 because you got out-qualified by Max Verstappen yesterday, so that's a really poor effort if I'm going to be honest, but you know, I suppose you sort of made up for it by winning today. But, I mean, you're driving Mercedes, so I'm not really thrilled watching you anymore. Second place was Max Verstappen, 10 out of 10. Out-qualified Bottas. Did pretty much what the hell he could in that Red Bull Honda. It's not on a power track, no less. Third place, Lewis Hamilton, 6 out of 10. Now, why on earth did he and his team decide to do 2 illegal practice starts before the race? I have no idea. How on earth did neither him nor his team knew the rules concerning this is? It's really poor for everyone concerned here. And then, of course, when he got told he got the penalty, he moaned and cried about it, went into self-pity mode, accused the FIA of trying to make things harder for him, as if, like, you know, he's struggling to win his 7th World Championship, mate. We all know that against Valtteri Bottas on a normal day, you'll beat him every time, and if it hadn't been for your 2 illegal practice starts, you would have beaten him easily. It's Valtteri Bottas, mate, and you know, yes, you could say it was impressive for, you know, getting out of Q2 on the skin of his teeth. I mean, he did mess up quite a few times during that qualifying session, meaning that essentially he had to leave it to the very last second to get his qualifying lap in Q2 when he kept locking up and, well, making all sorts of errors before Vettel's crash. And, you know, I mean, yes, I know he out-qualified his teammate by 6 tenths of a second, but to be fair, though, but the thing is, though, by ruining it, by messing up his Q2 runs, it meant he had to start the soft tyres. And of course, with, you know, the hard tyres having enough grip and endurance to last a long full stint, well, there was no need for him to go on the medium tyres. So, I mean, really, Hamilton, you're getting away with this because you're in such a dominant car. You're in a car that is arguably even more dominant than what you had in 2014, 15 and 16, because of course, for me, Nico Rosberg kept getting the job done because of the fact that he himself was very good. Every time you lost the race, he would win the race because of how good he was. I mean, he was only about, I don't know, half a step worse than you. I mean, for me, when you look back at 2014, 2016 Nico Rosberg, he was operating at a similar level to 2009 to 2012 Jenson Button. You know, and maybe, you know, getting quite close to where Kimi was between 2003 and 2007, that type of driver. Because Bottas, for me, is at least almost 2 steps worse than Lewis Hamilton. Fourth place, of course, was Sergio Perez, 10 out of 10. Had to run the older aero parts all weekend long. Qualified P5. Did a magnificent job finishing 4th. Great job, Perez. I mean, I've got to say this, he's well and truly returned to his best form, and I have to say on the basis of these performances, it would be very rough on Sergio Perez if he didn't get a Red Bull drive at this rate, because frankly, this guy deserves a very good car. Well done, Sergio. For me, the driver of the day by a country mile. Fantastic performance. Only half a minute behind Bottas about the checkered flag. Impressive. 5th place, Daniel Ricciardo, 9 out of 10. Another impressive performance again from Danny Rick. When he got told he got a 5-second penalty, he just said, "Oh, well, I'll just drive faster then." Well, I mean, that's one way of putting it, but, you know, well done. 6th place was Charles Leclerc, 10 out of 10. Yes, I know some people are complaining on social media that he should have got a penalty for understeering into Lance Stroll. To be honest, it really was a racing incident. I mean, it was the the first lap at turn 2. It was not intentional. Having said that, he made both the medium and the hard tyres last very well. And split the 2 Renaults, 10 out of 10. Well done, Shaw. But of course, because of that incident at turn 2, I can't give you driver of the day, because I think that's kind of wrong. 7th place was Esteban Ocon, 7 out of 10. Got out qualified by Ricciardo by 0.3 of a second. And whilst his race pace was decent, he was having to find himself having to hold off both out Danny Kvyat towards the end, which is not that impressive if you ask me. And yeah, he's, you know, if he can't beat Ricciardo, I mean, what chance does he have against Alonso next year? He's got 0 chances. 8th place was Danny Kvyat, 9 out of 10. Yes, he got out qualified again by Pierre Gasly, but in a race he made a hard and a medium tyres last well. Did a number on his teammate Gasly, and I have to say, the way he's bounced back since his teammate won at Monza has been very impressive indeed. And I have to say, you know, if I had to pick between Danny Kvyat and Alex Albon, it's got to be Danny Kvyat. No way should Danny Kvyat be kicked out of F1 if Albon is to be shoved out of that Red Bull team. No way, because he's a far better driver. 9th place, Pierre Gasly, 8 out of 10. Once again, stalled brilliantly in qualifying, but his race pace was a bit off. Had to do 2 stops. And finished 21 seconds behind his teammate. Well, it seems to be Pierre Gasly has sort of lost a bit of momentum since that Monza win, but let's hope he bounces back soon. 10th place, Alex Albon, 5 out of 10. I'm being very generous with this score because, of course, he got a grid penalty for his gearbox change before the race, meaning he had to start P15. But the fact of the matter is, he finished about 90 seconds behind Max Verstappen, a minute and a half behind his Dutch teammate. And he got beat by both AlphaTauris. And of course he got out qualified yesterday by Max by over a second. I mean, I'm giving Alex Albon 5 out of 10 because, you know, he put in some decent overtakes fighting back through the field, but I mean, he really shouldn't be in that Red Bull seat next year. And if I'm going to be honest, I really don't think Alex Albon should be in F1 at all after this season, because I don't really see the point of him at all. I really don't. I kind of can't be honest with him anymore. He's just... He really hasn't got the talent to be an F1 at all. He's just not good enough. And yes, I know he put in some decent performances when he was at AlphaTauri in the first half of last year, but that is such a long time ago now, and to be honest, every race he always has some sort of problem. I'm not really interested with him anymore. Yes, he's a nice lad and all that, but let's go on to the next driver, to be honest. 11th place, Antonio Giovinazzi, 9 out of 10. Out-qualified Kimi, although of course Kimi spotted his final Q1 run, so I mean essentially that just allowed Giovinazzi to start P17, but his performance in the race was absolutely brilliant. I mean, yes, I know obviously he's had a lot of criticisms because he always has a habit of making some really bad basic errors at some point, but today he really did drive the wheels off the car today. The first time since the British Grand Prix I've seen him drive this well, if I'm going to be honest. But will this be enough to get him a drive at Alfa? Well, will this be enough to stave off Mick Schumacher for next year? I have to say no. I think this is now a case of too little too late for Antonio. I mean, had he not been overtaken by Albon, I've got to say this, I think if he had finished P10 today, I think he would have essentially really saved his bacon in his fight to save his seat for next year against Mick Schumacher, because of course you've got to remember, at Alfa Romeo, it's a senior driver's seat, which is given to the driver that the team, Sauber, who owned Sauber wants, so that's Kimi Raikkonen. So, I mean, that's essentially the older driver, meaning that Kimi's probably up against the likes of Sergio Perez and Nico Hulkenberg for the seat next year. Whilst, of course, Giovinazzi's in the junior seat, which means he's up against the likes of Mick Schumacher, Robert Schwartzman and Callum Milor. 12th place was Kevin Magnussen, 8 out of 10. He's been struggling since that Hungarian performance where he scored a point, but today he bounced back very well. Not much else to say, because let's go on to 13th place. Sebastian Vettel, 6 out of 10. Just no pace at all. I mean, at the last race, he asked his team how many races are left, and then he apologised and said how many laps are left. I think we all know he wants to get out of that team. 14th place, Kimi Raikkonen, 7 out of 10. Was running in the points for quite a while, but of course he had not stopped. And then he came in and had a very slow pit stop once again. And, you know, yeah, he spun in qualifying, hence why I've knocked a point off, because that's not really good enough. But Kimi, I mean, you know, I'm not going to complain, because today was just a bad day on the office, so I'll move on. 15th place, Lando Norris, 5 out of 10. Picked up damage from the first corner collision from, Stroll getting taken out and Sainz crashing out. 5 out of 10. Didn't really do much after that. You know, had to struggle on for the rest of the race. Meaning that McLaren had no points today, having been quite quick in qualifying. So that's very quite disappointing. 16th place, Nicholas Latifi, 9 out of 10. By far his best race of his short F1 career. Outpaced Russell all day long in the race. Yes, I know Russell keeps his record of out-qualifying all his teammates 31-0, but Latifi did the job today on Sunday. Today had been an attrition-filled race like it was at Mugello and in Austria, Latifi might have won or scored a point, but of course 18 cars finished, so that's tough luck. 17th place, Romain Grosjean, 5 out of 10. I have no idea what on earth happened to Romain Grosjean today. It seems like he's gone straight back to normal again. No race pace at all. And frankly, he's probably he surely has to go leave F1 after this year. Even though he's not been that bad this season, but for me, his time is up. And 18th and last place was George Russell, 6 out of 10. No race pace at all. Really don't know what. We had to do 3 stops. Just a very troubled race in general for George Russell. And I have to say, calls for him to join Mercedes is a bit premature when you consider the fact he doesn't seem to be exactly destroying Nicholas Latifi right now. He needs at least another year or 2 at Williams or another midfield team. Then we get on to the retirees. Carlos Sainz, 3 out of 10. Shocking rookie error by crashing into the barriers, between the barriers and the bollards when he was avoiding the crash between Stroll and Leclerc. Not good enough, but I suppose it's good preparation for his move to Ferrari, which is a step down, not a step up. And he is today's reject of the race. Just an unbelievably catastrophic rookie error that you should not be making on lap 1. And of course we get on to the final retiree, onto the other retiree, Lance Stroll, 7 out of 10, got taken out by Charles Leclerc. Nothing he could do, an innocent victim in that crash. Very unlucky all weekend. Apparently his car broke down in Q2 as well. And was, yes, Sergio Perez outpaced him, or has been outpacing him all weekend, despite the fact Lance Stroll has the newer parts. I kind of feel sorry for Lance, so I'm going to give him 7 out of 10. And, of course, here are the championship standings for those of you wondering. Lewis Hamilton, despite all that crying and moaning, is still 44 points ahead of the championship table. And as you've guessed, both Mercedes and Red Bull are very much on course to finish first and second because, of course, we only have 7 races remaining. Lando Norris is in front of Alex Albon. What is going on there? What is actually happening, mate? That is just ridiculous. Sergio Perez has closed up 1 point behind Leclerc and Stroll, thanks to his fabulous performance today. Ricciardo is in a solid 6th place. Gasly still hangs on to 10th place despite having a little bit subdued performance today. But, you know, at some point he was always going to drop off. And then, of course, looking at the rest of the table, Carlos Sainz is in 11th place with 41 points. Esteban Ocon, 36 points. Sebastian Vettel is in 13th with just 17 points. Very close behind him is Danny Kvyat with 14 points. Hulkenberg is still in 15th because he has 6 points. And then, of course, both Alfa drivers, Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi, have 2 points. Kevin Magnussen has 1 point. And then, of course, the guys who have still not scored the points this year, Nicholas Latifi, George Russell, and Roman Grosjean is still classified in last place. The Constructors' table, first is Mercedes, second Red Bull, third it's still McLaren, but only 2 points ahead of Racing Point. 5th place is Renault, who are getting well and truly close into the fight for 3rd place, as they are now only 7 points behind McLaren. 6th place is Ferrari, who have 74 points and are in no man's land at this point. 7th place is AlphaTauri with 59 points, and then of course 8th place Alfa Romeo with 4 points. 9th place is Haas with just 1 point, and Williams are still yet to score a point this season. So thank you for watching this race review from Crystal Racing. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.